AVC, cheers. Third cup of Java today using my Sun Records ELVIS cup that I got as a Christmas present one year. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Tony here. Tony's LPs Are Us. We have ELVIS with us tonight. And of course, we're going to talk about some ELVIS 78s that I picked up at a sale that I saw on Facebook. And ELVIS wasn't even mentioned in the ad. It was a ad that came up on my Facebook feed, Facebook Marketplace. I normally don't contact those because I'm always $1 late, a day short, or however it is. But this time it was pretty cool. It was a bunch of 45s, 2 boxes of 45s. I didn't know what the 45s were. And the albums were stacked up pretty good, maybe 60 albums. But there was a whole portion of 78s. And I couldn't tell what the 78s were. But on top of the albums, the seller had 4 or 5 albums that I was interested in. And usually when I see those 4 or 5 albums that I'm interested in out as a scan, I'm thinking that's the best of the lot. But he quoted the price. I assumed it was a guy. Eventually it was a guy. Most guys are selling records, right? So I assumed it was a guy, and he had on about 5 or 6 albums that he took a picture of. The rest of it was just picture of the 45s in their 45 cartons, probably 245s or more, a lot of 45s. Couldn't see if there were picture sleeves. Most of them were white generic sleeves. Had some box sets in there. So I wasn't interested in the box sets. They were the box sets of the opera type and Reader's Digest type. And the 78s I'm not really interested in anymore. So anyway, I gave him a private message or however you do it through Facebook. And like I said, I normally don't contact those because usually you have to buy them all, you can't look at them, or it's too far. This was something I just PM'd, and the person PM'd me really quickly back, which was nice. And he had said, well, because you ask, are they still available, right? And I was hesitant, and then I just said, you know what? I've got nothing to do today. If it's close, I'll take a ride, right? So he writes me back, no, someone's coming to look at them, but if they don't want them, I'll contact you. I said, all right, I figured that's it. So about 4 hours later in the afternoon, because I contacted him early, the person said, guy didn't show up, doesn't want to look anymore. Are you still interested? I said, yeah, give me a time and a place, and we'll set up a date. And we set up a time later on. And I said, okay, I'll come over. And I didn't say, I'm only going to cherry pick them. I'm not interested in all of them. But I did contact a friend who has a jukebox, is into 78. So I said, look, I'm going to go look at the 78s. If the 78s are cool, maybe we could split the cost out. Because I'm not 78s, 45s for a jukebox. I said, if there's something that you may want, I know what you want, I know what I want. We can go through those. I'll split them. I know you don't want albums. I'll take whatever albums I could find. So I went there. Guy had a pretty cool man cave. We started talking. He was a younger guy, maybe 50 or so. And we started talking, and I started looking through the records, and I was very disappointed. Most of the records that I did pull out of the sleeves were pretty worn out. Then I went to the other side of the albums, and I picked out a few albums, which I'll show you, put them to the side. I went through every 45, basically. I would say maybe 245s, maybe more. I didn't count. I went through them quickly. I wasn't interested in a lot of those. I picked out 5 out of all those. And I picked out things that, really don't belong in a jukebox. They belong in a collection because the jukebox will wear these records out, and there's really just a couple. The rest of them were like Donna Summer, Barbra Streisand, really odd stuff, some country, but nothing of value, and I think they were from a jukebox. So I hesitated, looked at the box set, zero. Start looking at the 78s, hoping for that Robert Johnson or that, even if it was a Louis Armstrong 78, I would have bought it. There were some Sinatra 78s in there. There were some Nat Cole 78s in there. Bing Crosby, I always find. I'm not going to start hoarding those anymore. I have those. So I'm looking through them, going, I really appreciate you letting me take the time. I apologize. I said, I'm going to really look through these. I'm not, going to buy them all, but I'll look through them. And I figured since someone canceled earlier, and obviously he didn't get a lot of calls on this, maybe the price of $150 scared people off. But that didn't hinder me because I knew if I got there, I could work out a deal if I didn't take them all. I brought money with me. I brought over that amount with me in cash. Don't want to use PayPal or anything like that for records. So anyway, I'll show you the records that I did find, and I'll go over our conversation. And then while I'm looking through them, he had a surprise for me, which was pretty cool. And I'm going to show you those. And that's some Elvis 78s. So these are the records that I did find. These are the albums. Joe's Garage. This is 1 and 2, Acts 2 and 3. He had the other record that went with this. Here's the inner. This is a double record. Really nice shape. Better than VG Plus. So I didn't have this. I don't have a lot of Zappa. The other Zappa record that was the companion to this record, I don't know if it's Act 1. It's a single record, I think. That was pretty beat up. So I didn't pull that. I didn't take that. And we didn't talk about price or anything. Then I saw this, and this was highlighted in his photo. It's a nice RL mastered Gaucho with the inner. Nice heart inner. It's the RL, and there it is. So we have that. And sometimes these aren't RL. For some reason, this label is on that, and he mastered that record. That's a great Gaucho. And I have this is nice. It's still in a shrink. I would say this was near mint. It's, if you could see there, really nice. And there's the jacket again. The great Steely Dan. And like I said, I'm looking through, and I really wanted to buy stuff from the guy because I'm wasting his time. I was probably there an hour. So I found this. This was in near mint condition. Yes. Original cutout, $3.99. There's the cutout sticker, the cutout notch. This is near mint. Has the original inner. Custom label from Atlantic. So I found that. Not much. I bought, I believe, 4 albums out of a stack of albums. Didn't like the box sets. There was nothing in there. Once in a while, you may find something cool in the box set. But this one was cool because Tony Joe White, he wrote Polk Salad Annie, and this is his version of it on this record. I guess this is the premiere. Not sure if this is a second pressing because it has a hype sticker that's, on the cardboard. But this is on the Monument label, which is a great label. Roy Orbison is on that label, and a lot of rockabilly artists is on that label. And this was in really good condition too. This is excellent. Very VG plus to excellent. I haven't played these. I haven't cleaned them. This has some hairlines on it. So I took this, but I really wanted to hear that Polk Salad Annie because that is the same exact arrangement that Elvis did when Elvis made it famous. And I don't really know Tony Joe White. I think I may have one of his albums. But he's got Who's Making Love, if you remember that song, Little Green Apples, Wichita Lineman, Willie and Laura Mae Jones. So not sure which ones he wrote, but I know Polk Salad Annie is the one I picked this up. So this was a good catch. Then I picked out, like I said, out of all those 45s, I got a couple 45s. I got a Eric, Twist and Shout, Isley Brothers, and Louie, the Kingsmen. So this is a reissue. Nothing rare about that. I have a Bruce, Shut Out the Light, and Born in the USA. We'll always pick up a Bruce. This was near mint. And I found a Chuck Berry, which I pulled. Of course, this was a back-to-back type of greatest hits with Reelin' and a Rockin' and Sweet Little 16 on the blue, kind of like a bluish, dark blue chest label. Chuck Berry, Reelin' and Rockin'. I don't believe this was an original. I have to research that, but it's Chuck Berry 1683 on Arc Music, Chess Records. And the guy put a sticker on it, whoever had it, a sticker, maybe to keep track of his records. So they all have the new white sleeves. This was cool because I didn't have this on 45. Poco Harem, Conquistador, great track. And then it has A Whiter Shade of Pale from a whiter Shade of Pale LP. And Conquistador is, of course, from Poco Harem Live. So that's a great track. I want to hear how that sounds on my system. I'm not really happy with the original Poco Harem Live with an orchestra from London or England. I'm not really happy with that sound. I have a couple of those records. They're usually like in the $3, $4 bins. Nothing exceptional sound-wise. So I want to see if this 45 has some sonics to it compared to the LP version. And then last but not least, couldn't leave this there. I didn't really leave anything behind it. Most of them were worn. We have the Spider and the Fly and the Under Assistant West Coast Promotion Man, Rolling Stones. This looks like an original OG. If you remember, this 45 had two B-sides. I Can't Get No Satisfaction is the A-side. B-side in Europe or the UK was Spider and the Fly. A-side here is the Under Assistant West Coast Promotion Man, which is Danker Plagues, and that's the boys that have a pseudonym there. So that was cool. So this is the best out of the 45s. So I'm looking through those, and while I'm looking through these, he goes into the other room, and he goes, I got some Elvis 78s if you're interested. I go, Elvis? I go, wow, you didn't mention that. He goes, well, I saw on your profile that you like I said, it's on my profile. I wasn't really aware of that unless there was a picture of Elvis somewhere or I mentioned Elvis somewhere on Facebook. I'm not sure. Anyway, I said, yeah, I'll look at them. So he brings out a box, and I'm going through them, and they were pretty beat up. They're 78s. I was never going to play them, of course, because they're Elvis. They were collectible. So I looked through them. I didn't act over interested in them, but I was interested in them because, like I said, they're Elvis Presley and they're 78s. I don't think I have any 78 Elvis that I know of. I might somewhere, except for maybe one or two, but nothing to speak of. So I said, well, what do you want? Because after I was done, I went over to the Elvis. He had them in a box. And I said, well, what do you want for the Elvis records? He goes, I don't know. They're pretty expensive online. I saw them I said, I know, but, these are pretty worn, and then you got to ship them. And he goes, I don't know, make me an offer. So I just looked at two that were in the best condition because I wasn't really going to spend a lot of money on 78s at the time. I wasn't going to flip them. I just wanted them for my collection. So I just threw out a number. I said, what about, $10 for both of them? He goes, yeah, fine. So I go, wow, okay. So I took this one here. That's When Your Heartaches Begin. And this is 26870. That's the number. And this is All Shook Up. And I cleaned them, but I will do a video. I cleaned them with warm water and a little bit of soap on a lint-free rag, let them dry. But I am going to do a video where I'm going to clean these on my VPI cleaner, vacuum cleaner, in maybe tonight with a very light solution and clean them. Because I do have a 78 turntable that I'm going to play these on. So let's just hold that up for you. You can see these got some wear to them, but not bad. Nice shine, as they say. Then I saw Jailhouse Rock. So I basically got Jailhouse Rock for $5. And this is number 20 7035 RCA Victor, Jailhouse Rock, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I believe. And on the other side is Treat Me Nice. And these are pretty good. There's, of course, where these are from 58, 57, 58. I have to be careful. There's the... So I'm looking through and I go, okay. And then I said, well, what do you want for, the 45s that I just showed and the albums? Oh, and by the way, the RCA Victor came with one good sleeve. One record, Treat Me Nice, came with one good sleeve, which is worth the price of admission. Because the sleeves are sometimes, these paper sleeves are going to disintegrate after so many years of being in basements. So I got this with Treat Me Nice, I think. So I said, well, what do you want for the records and the 45s? He goes, how about $10? I says, fine. So he goes, total 10. Then I'm talking to him, and we're he's a collector. I'm a collector. He talked about some of his stuff that his brother collects. So we talked about what he collected, talked about what he did, talked about what I did. We talked about a lot. I was there for a good hour. So then he said to me, he goes, you want those other Elvis records? I go, how much you want from me? He goes, no, just take them. He goes, you're a collector. I could see that you really appreciate this. So I said, man, I said, sure. I said, I really appreciate it. Now, these are beat up. Some of them have pieces missing, but I'm going to show them. And guess what? I will frame these or do something with them. So here you have Hound Dog. And you could see on the flip side, Don't Be Cruel has like a chip piece missing. So you have Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog. And this is number, for you Elvis people, all my Elvis friends out there, you have great channels. Please check out people's VC channels, Elvis, Beatles, all great guys. And if you haven't subbed, please sub. And if you like what I'm talking about, if you like my presentation, please consider subbing to Tony's LPs or Us. I really appreciate it. Really helps us out. So we have Don't Be Cruel, and you could see there's some pieces missing. You have to, if you drop these, they're going to explode, right? Next up is Playing for Keeps, which not really familiar with that tune. I have to check it out. This is 26,800, Playing for Keeps. And on the flip side is Too Much. There's Too Much. And Playing for Keeps, you can see there's a couple pieces missing or chips. This side looks good. The Too Much side looks pretty good. The other side actually has a chip in it. So, and these are the ones I left because I wasn't going to spend $20 or $30 on Elvis records that I was just going to frame for whatever reason. I know they're worth a lot more, but I didn't want to, underprice the guy, and he was really nice, to me, normal, upfront wise. So here, and then he gave me this one. This has a nice bite out of it. See that? This is My Baby Left Me, 6540. And this is I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, 6540. Elvis Presley, RCA Victor. So somebody left that there. I didn't see the piece in the box, so apparently these were chipped before he got to them. And I was really happy he pulled these out because it kind of made my day, made my trip. So thanks again. And just to reiterate, this was a Facebook Marketplace find. I normally don't call them or write to them because I'm usually late. Usually it's one, take all, because they don't show you what it is. And a lot of times they want too much money. He wanted a lot of money. But if you think about all the 45s, 150 45s, there could have been a few gems in there that were valuable, and that's what I was really looking at. I didn't see anything. The Stones, it's kind of valuable. It has writing on the label, but those are for my collection. So that's it. So you never know, right? You gotta get lucky. I was at the right place at the right time to get these Elvis 78s. So thank you, BC, really hope you appreciate. I really appreciate. I mean, you watching, and I hope you enjoy my channel. And whatever, please sub if you can. Keep rocking. Talk to you later. Ciao.